any point you have questions, just interrupt. I taught for years, so I'm used to all kinds of questions all the time. And I'm Gil Haratunian, the Executive Director of University Initiatives. University Initiatives is in the Provost office. And you are?
I'm Angelica. Nice to meet everyone. And I assist Gil with, and my main task is to assist with the budget.
We also assist with all the electronic applications. Research.gov, grants.gov, assist.gov, and it's all technical, but it's all high pressure. Because they're technical, you can get glitches. So that's actually high pressure. That's not, nice to meet you. Okay, so. Hi, I recognize you.
It's been a while.
So why, sit down. While she's, we're just working through a glitch. I would say, on your way out, if you have a sign up sheet, if you want to sign it, you get any follow-up emails. And in particular, if I see something in your area, I will send you a notice. And it has been published.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And you're welcome to take as many donuts as you want.
Oh, you're
I
so
wore
sweet.
out.
I will say I like the new portal that lists all the grants, but it is overwhelming. It was a lot to go through,
Yeah.
but I like it. But I forget that portal, the new portal that lists all the grants.
Okay, research and sponsored programs. Within the division of research, there's an office of sponsored programs, the grants office, but we are separate from that.
I see.
We're in the provost office.
Okay.
And I'm going to get into why we're in the provost office.
I'm gonna have him come in.
Yeah. So I'll just start. We're in the provost office, and University Initiatives was founded, I just finished my 15 years. It was founded about 13 years ago to address a crying need in the university, which was really tailored, streamlined, and sustained support for major applications or high priority. And it's completely separate from the grants office. When you work with the University Initiatives, it goes in through the provost office, it's submitted through the provost credentials. And it was, as we go through this, you'll see there's so much required for a successful grant application. If you are faculty with a full teaching load or a service load, it is impossible. Even if you pull together a great group or a team, you still probably want a lot of support and assistance. Okay. So, but I would emphasize, even though it says major, which is like grants that are like $1 million or above, I also do high priority if it's deemed high priority. For instance, right now the CSU is making a major push for AI. They want AI incorporated in all aspects of teaching and research at the CSU. So an AI grant would be considered.
The government has one such priority as well, right? Like,
Yes.
The Melania, saying, if you apply for a grant that has to do with AI, we're going to be supporting you. I just saw a short, video of it. Like, is that right?
Yes, and we're covering that now. And that actually, Vartui started, post January 20th. They have made, as everybody knows, they have made drastic cuts. Hi, Lilita. This is like my favorite person, one of my favorite people. There have been drastic cuts to federal funding.
Yes.
We all know this, and it's had an impact. And however, they are opening up, and they still have wide open certain funding streams, and one of them is AI. And we submitted to some of those funding streams, and we're starting to get feedback. And the feedback is the same way they have flood conditions for AI in terms of funding, which is good. They want your proposal to be flooded with AI. If you're going to submit, to one of the AI programs. Make sure your proposed project is drenched in AI. Drenched, or it really is gonna come up against others that are drenched in AI.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that would be funded in terms of the competition. So you don't have AI as an add-on or an addition, or you're building it out. Have the proposed program just drip AI.
I think that proposal program for research, teaching, or both.
Both, yeah, community service, they want AI. Yeah, I mean, they want AI in Angelica in your field. They particularly want AI in public health. And cyber infrastructure and business, all of it, yeah. Okay, so this is going to be in 5 sections. The first is get help. It's talking about what University Initiative does. The second section is going to be on flood conditions. What are the big, beautiful funding streams? AI is one of them. The third is value added. At a certain point, I realized the proposals being funded have some value added component. I'm going to give examples as we go through. The other proposals that have a better chance of being funded are the ones that leverage resources. I'm going to talk about yours. And then I'm going to give examples of like what I did through a major proposal. Okay, so what do? We're in the provost's office. We are separate from other offices. Frequently, I will identify opportunities for people, which is why I'm so glad to get to know you, or the provost will identify opportunities for the institution, or the president will, right? And it gets sent directly to university initiatives. The level of guidance provided depends on the needs of the individual proposals. When the institutional proposals are sent to me, sometimes I prepare those from scratch. I'm going to go through an example. But if you approach me for a proposal, I will, who knows what level I would provide. It's just going to be what you need. It could be just, minor code, as I said, I could urge faculty on, like Plato or Jean Dante through the circles of hell, or it depends. It's what you need, and I'm happy to help anyone. Okay, UI services, who do they help? Particularly if you're new, like the first time, having the benefit of all the experiences will really help. And after that, the faculty tend to just take off, and they keep writing their own proposals and getting their own rewards. And like Leilita, they end up mentoring other faculty. So it creates like an increasing pool of faculty mentors. It helps faculty who may have developed applications but haven't tackled the major one. And the level of work is significant. It helps faculty who have come like this close to like a major award, but they need that little extra help. And it helps all faculty because you're undertaking a huge application on top of a teaching and service workload, plus you have your own research agenda, right? So when we start going through it and seeing all the things that it entails, definitely, reach out for the help you need. Okay, so University Initiatives, funded 13 years ago, has been instrumental or supportive in securing close to 50 million in major awards, mostly federal, because it addressed a need for help. How big can that slice of the external funding pie be? All right, so this is the example. The big one, this is the one I'm still on 9 about. I was the architect of the university's first major research award, an $8 million START project to conduct a randomized control trial involving 8,000 students to produce documented findings on the effectiveness of a certain kind of advising. So it was 8,000 students. It was an entire incoming class of 4,000 freshmen and 2 incoming classes of transfers, 2,000 each. And I'm going to use that as the example later.
Sorry, what was the funding institution?
Department of Education.
Department of Education.
Post-secondary student success program.
Big win.
Yeah, yeah, it was a big win. University Initiatives was also instrumental in the success of all 6 Department of Education minority serving institution awards. And those are the ones that are listed. Mainly the Hispanic serving institution ones, but also the Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander serving institutions. One of the ones that I was very happy about was Convivore, the second from the bottom, because it's launching CSU Fresno satellite campuses at West Hills campuses. They're very remote. The students have like, to get here, there's like two buses a day between here and there. And one of them has so many stops, the total round trip time is like 3 hours. So it really said that for most of those students, their terminal degree is an associate's degree, that's it. And there's no way out. And how can the region ever really develop, right? So we decided to bring education to them. Okay, so we don't just support proposal writing. Sometimes that's a misconception. The truth is proposal writing is based on disciplinary expertise. So the faculty, when they're working on their proposals, will do most of the proposal writing. What we support is the ecosystem of a major application, right? And we do that. We do the facilities, equipment, and other resources, the mentoring plans. We have tons of examples. You know, I could draft them with my eyes closed, the collaboration plans, and then I give them to you to perfect. All of that, you know, working with all the offices on campuses to get the documentation that we need. But we do that so that you can pour your disciplinary expertise into the proposal and you won't be multitasking on everything else in the ecosystem. The budget is a big challenge, and Angelica, what does, she's just become expert at, she does the line item budget, she'll talk about it at the end. Drafting the budget justification, and again, at that point, it's up to you to review and edit, but you can concentrate on the main work of the proposal. We'll interpret the federal guidelines and regulations. Again, I'm going to give an example of that at the end, because a lot of it's technical, and sometimes they give you information and they don't tell you how really important that one piece of information is. We'll do a thorough review for compliance, particularly for the federal agency, and we'll basically support your needs, whatever they be, from conception to submission to when we press the submit button. Okay, flood conditions. There are some big, beautiful funding streams right now. Okay, AI, those are some recent examples. It's not just like the National Science Foundation, it's the National Endowment for Humanities and many others. We submitted a very good application to the Smart Health. That's what I was talking about. It was with public health to monitor exposures to chemicals and biological agents with a focus on valley fever, asthma, and allergies in this region. It's a PET, it's a personal exposome tracker, and it, you know, AI affects all fields. And okay, the others, oh, well, I'm gonna go back. One thing I said, but I don't think everybody was in the room, it really is like a funding flood for AI. Make sure, and they want to see you return that. Make sure when you draft an AI proposal that you just flood it with AI. Don't do little add-ons, right? Make sure that proposal is that it's driven by AI, integration of AI into your work. Yeah.
So given that we have like a lot of AI driven initiatives at Fresno State, do you have any recommendations, like what are the current opportunities that would like fit well what the CSU in general is doing and that's particularly?
Okay, so I would say the best thing for you to do is follow up with an email to me, and I will do a search based on your field.
Okay.
Okay. What is your field, by the way?
Education.
Education. Okay, yeah, we're going to cover education too in a minute, but it was the Department of Education that issued a notice that they want AI integrated into all federal funding and education from K to 16. So there is lots of stuff. And I would say any Department of Education proposal you submit right now, you've got to have AI in it. The second flood is cyber infrastructure. Okay, and we're working on the middle one right now. Cyber infrastructure goes hand in hand with cybersecurity, but there are grants just for training in that. So AI and CI are big. When I sit in my office, one thing I do is read the proposed rulemaking in the Federal Register. Okay? So these are the STEM is a priority, and that list is within STEM. What is the priority? What are they planning on funding in the future? What are the funding opportunities that when and if our government opens back up, will be published? Okay. high quality STEM education and STEM workforce development pathways are very important, but there are a few others within that. If you're in any of those areas, I would say make time to write a proposal now. That's what they're going to be funding. Okay, this is the Department of Education, by the way. You just asked about the Department of Education, the agency that I chose for, that's the agency I chose for an example, okay? Do you want to click on meaningful learning opportunities, second one? So, all right, if you look at what they're announcing, they're going to give priority to, it is math education. Just they want teachers trained, they want high quality instructional material. They want design of excellent mathematics course. They have gotten right that math is the on-ramp to STEM. Okay, can you scroll down a little? They will be issuing opportunities in 2 other areas. Okay. Oh, here, stop there. In addition to math, there will be an emphasis on computer science, on English language arts, and social studies. So those are the streams that they have announced they want to do in the future. Okay, if you can go back to the presentation. And if you click on the first one, career pathways and workforce readiness, if you scroll down, keep going, it's like you have to get through a lot of technical information. Okay, here it is. Expanding career pathways and workforce readiness. Think high wage, high demand, high growth. If there's any field in your area which is high wage, high demand, and high growth, that's what you should be thinking about writing a proposal for. This is the proposed priorities for the grants. Okay, can you go back to? And that's also partly why I asked you to do a sign-in sheet with emails so that I can I'm thinking to a list with your discipline. So when the opportunities are finally published, I can send the notice. Okay, the third one, okay, now we're going on to value added. When I began to review everything, because I figured, all right, I've been here like 15 years, I just want to be transparent. I want to transfer all knowledge to faculty. I want to make sure also that all faculty have access to the knowledge. I don't just want like the usual suspects to have access to the knowledge. One thing I realized was nearly all the proposals that were successfully awarded had value added of some sort. An example of that is Dr. Oka's. It was started out bringing together 4 CSU campuses to increase the representation of females in the engineering professoriate. And how many did you end up with? Total campuses.
Total campuses 8. Plus we reached out to all 15 campuses participated eventually in some or other programs. Like we had multiple programs, initiatives. We had all the engineering, like 15 campuses have engineering programs. And we reached out to all of them.
Yeah.
But 8 majorly participated. Like they were on board with a lot of changes that we wanted to make.
And what's amazing is she and Dr. Stilmaker and
Southern Asia
were the first to ever attempt that system-wide bringing together of the engineering programs. It was the first time anybody even tried to bring together all the CSU engineering programs to increase representation of females, if I remember correctly, minority females and foreign-born. Yeah. Now, the value added was they included, and there was incentive funding in the program for this. The NSF funded Aspire iChange. Can you click on that? And will they lead up? Why don't you tell them what that was?
Yeah, so iChange is a separate program that was funded, but added value to us was $50,000 additional by collaborating with them. And not 50,000, 250,000.
250,000, yeah.
$250,000. And actually, they because they had established their programs. So they did not need that $250,000 at the end. So eventually they took only like 100,000 maybe, and rest of the things they just gave it back to us. And then they established separate CSU cohort, and that's how we were able to get those 8 CSUs, additional 4 CSUs on board to the change that we were envisioning. So
Yeah,
that
and
was
iChange is
really great.
Yeah.
iChange is that initiating
institutional
changes,
change.
institutional changes. But then it's not like they prescribe change. It's you have to come up with your own ideas.
Mhm.
What is important for your own campus and how you would do that. So they will guide you with lots of tools on how to, create that change. They have so many tools developed, and then they would guide you through process. So it's a 3 years, they will guide you through that program. So first year is just self-assessment, second year is coming up with a plan, and then implementation in the third year. So they helped us through this entire change, whatever we were envisioning. And then that was the value added thing that we had, thanks to Gil. Because we were attempting only for $1 million grant, which was NSF Advance for the system wide. But when she found out, then we contacted iChange Network folks, and we brought additional $250,000. It was $1.25 million overall.
You with the money when you got it back.
No, the thing is, we were able to use that. Of course, there are so many campuses. So there were 8.
Yeah, they started out
Mostly
with
it was-
4 campuses,
yeah.
but they had 8, so the money could go.
So we had to give it to them. Then we were running programs for individual faculty.
Yeah.
And we have one of the recipients here.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Sani, she received one of the Research Alliance grant, where we wanted people from within CSU system to collaborate with each other.
Very cool.
So because we kind of live in isolation many times at our own Fresno State and Sacramento State and all that, we wanted them to collaborate either within departments or within CSU system. So we invited those kinds of proposals, particularly from junior faculty, those who have started as assistant professors. So that give them exposure to all CSU faculty, and that worked out beautifully well.
Yeah.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
did, yeah.
How to
Thank
join
you.
that program? I changed.
What?
The program, I changed.
iChange Network?
Yeah.
So essentially, we reached out to them, and we could give you, we have some contact.
What was the
developed there.
question exactly?
How to join that program?
Oh, she can, Laylita, why don't you talk with her after and she'll give you the contact information?
Yeah, I can give you the contact information of people. Just be aware.
They're on the web. by the way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send
some-
this PowerPoint to everybody, so you'll have the link.
Yeah, just be aware, some of the programs have been terminated. recently.
Oh, right. This might have been terminated because I think it has strong focus on it. It might have been. Okay, can you go back to the PowerPoint? So part of this is, we don't know what the new programs are. We have a pretty good idea from the proposed rulemaking. But it's the value added that I'm stressing. That's what's bringing in the awards. If you click on the second one, computer science has an NSF scholarships and STEM award. Again, it had incentive funds, but no, actually it did have incentive funds. They just reached out to this. Advancing research impact in society. The National Science Foundation is getting very serious about broader impacts, right? And this is all about how to have broader impacts. And in the computer science department here, Dr. Liu, they were developing a program where the faculty developed a STEM impact identity blueprint for their work, for their lives, how to have it have broader impacts, and then taught the students to have that. A good example of that when this started was for the Grand Canyon, there was a team of, they were at Arizona State University. So as part of their work, they developed the Trail of Time exhibit there so that everybody who visited the Grand Canyon could have a better understanding. I think it was geology of the geology behind the Grand Canyon. So that's really broader impacts. Taking your science to the public. Okay, go back to the slide. Okay, what else? Okay. go back. One more final example. I'm trying to think, so I went ahead too before, was on a Department of Education Hispanic serving STEAM enriched pathways. STEAM is STEM plus agriculture. Leveraged, that award leveraged 2 external resources, Dr. Erin Dolan's new initiative for course-based research experiences. That was really, really important because up to that time in the NSF provided research experiences for undergraduates, but that's limited. There's only so much money they give for our review. Students have to apply. There's competition. Only a few were selected. But by integrating a research question into the course for students to explore, it completely democratized access for research experiences and research skills for the students in the course. And I had also, that was, Jean Meyer pulled that in, but I had actually pulled in the Department of Education's work-based learning toolkit. Can you click on that one? Okay, the Department of Education actually has a whole work-based learning toolkit. There's a lot of funding on the career pathways. They've already done it and they've done a really good job. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. You just leverage that resource, right? And create more value in your field. Okay, can you go back to, on the course, click on the course-based research experiences. It's been so successful that this is the link to the NIH, National Library of Medicine. They're beginning to study them, like how to design cures that are the most effective. And just like so much is being done at the national level that you can use to inform your program. Can we go back? And one other, that one we did, okay. When you go to do your research, this isn't necessary. Sometimes this science would be other agencies. I'm just giving education as an example because it's broad. The Department of Education has all kinds of resources, and one is they have the Institute for Education Sciences. It's a branch. It's still existing. It's nonpartisan. It vets research sources, and the What's Work Clearinghouse. Don't click on it because we're going to go to it later. All the research sources that are submitted to them, they say, is this tier 1? Is it strong evidence when you're going to cite it in your proposal? Like, I want to use this practice. Well, what kind of evidence is there? They have a huge clearinghouse of studies, or tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4. What level of evidence? If it's tier 4, forget it. You'll never get funded. The other thing that helps is on the Institution for Education Sciences, if you click, sometimes you're looking for a really good external evaluator, and they have lists of certified evaluators they have trained. Right? And it's really important that when you go to write your proposal, you don't round up the usual suspects. You know, we don't like ask about buddies or something like that. Right. You want to go outside the university if at all possible. Yes.
Ask about what? Could you repeat?
Buddies.
Buddies?
Buddies.
Oh, buddies.
Buddy.
So I can ask
Not
my
bodies.
90-year-old grandmother for help.
Right, yeah, right. Right. So, but it's hard to locate good external evaluators, but you know, the federal agencies have developed like clearinghouses for evaluators that they have trained and they are very good.
Reviewers.
Yeah, reviewers, assessment, independent evaluation. Okay, back to the.
So
Yeah.
just to be clear, are you saying that it would be better to have external evaluators as part of the proposals than asking people at Fresno State?
Absolutely, absolutely. Credibility is with an external evaluator. Credibility is diminished significantly if that person is internal because it's direct line of reporting and there's politics involved. Being very direct, and they know that. They want somebody who is not going to be influenced by the politics of the institution. They want somebody who's been very trained as an evaluator. They want someone who is not in the direct line of reporting. And if you are in academic affairs, eventually that direct line of reporting hits the provost office. And the provost, by the way, I work for him. He's just fantastic. He's so smart. He has a lot of integrity. But maybe somebody's insecure, right? And they think this is what the you know, or they just want to represent their proposal a certain way in front of leaders, you gotta remove all that, right? So go for an independent evaluator, if at all possible.
Wait, are you saying that they should be part of our team for the proposal or send the proposal for an external reviewer? I got,
Okay,
except for what you're saying.
when you propose a program, the federal agency will say they want somebody independent, and they usually require it in the guidelines, to evaluate the program if awarded. So they're going to evaluate one of the first things they evaluate is implementation fidelity. The way you said you were gonna implement that program, what's the level of fidelity? Are you doing what you said you were gonna do?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And under that, what they're also looking for now is, are the recipients of the program services, such as the students or teachers you're training, what is their perspective? You said you were gonna deliver these services and you are delivering them, but how do the recipients view them? Do they think they're as effective as has been shown in the research?
I see. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to share my experience with NSF Advanced
Oh,
Grant.
yeah.
They recommended, when we spoke to program officers, they recommended that these are the evaluators you may want to reach out. So don't forget to
Okay.
ask program officers, that question. I mean, it's okay to ask that question to program officers. They
Yeah.
keep a list of, maybe they know some good evaluators.
But you ended
Thank
up
you.
with Sue Rosser,
Yeah,
right?
Sue Rosser, and
She was a retired dean from San Francisco State in
Yes.
sciences, yeah.
Yeah, provost,
Yeah.
retired provost.
She was a provost,
Yeah.
my mistake, yeah. So they had this phenomenal evaluator, the retired provost from San Francisco State, who herself had held an NSF Advanced grant and knew the program really well and had administered her program really well. So the program officers were really happy to see that she was gonna be the evaluator. The last one, leveraging resources, I'll give you an example. Right now, we have an NSF Noyce Teacher Scholarship Award for master teachers, that's graduate level. Master teachers, that's graduate students or getting math teachers to earn their graduate degrees. And they leverage multiple local or regional resources. One is the Central Valley Higher Education Consortium. It's a network of all the colleges and universities in the area and who are and actually the K-12 too. So it gave them a huge pool of math teachers to pull from into the award. They never could have realized that pool otherwise. The San Joaquin Valley Math Projects, which provides professional developments to math teachers. All the Noyce scholars, they enrolled as a cohort in that year's professional development activities. Unified school districts that were participating agreed that the professional development funds they have for teachers would, the Noyce scholars would get priority. And the chancellor's office has instructional support funds for teachers, including math teachers, and they said they would dedicate some to the cohort. So they leveraged a lot of resources, like, you're really gonna, just to amplify the impact of that program. Okay, I have actually developed different kind of resources on the University Initiatives website. They're very streamlined. I don't do like a grant application manual because there's these big clunky things, and truth is faculty never read them and don't want to be bothered. So I chunked all the information into some streamlined resources. So if you could click on resources. Okay, it's on the provost page. Again, I'll send you the PowerPoint so you can get to it. And I had gone through what were the things I had really learned about education grants, such as the external evaluators in STEM education, visuals, genre, and direct cost. Genre is there because when, long ago, or maybe not that long ago, when you got your PhD, they were really good at mentoring you on how to write articles and dissertations. But nobody ever mentored you in terms of how to write a major application. It's a distinct genre, so it's just giving you like some initial entry points. Visuals, if you could click on visuals. And open it up on a. Okay, so go down a few slides, I'll tell you. Okay, you can stop right there. Right, that's good. This is what a typical visual looks like in major applications, not like a really fancy graph or something. You might have those in some of the sciences, but it's highly textual. And the reason is these proposals are going to people like you. Really advanced readers, really advanced researchers. So don't like, it actually shouldn't be that pretty. It should just be like really dense text that helps them sort the information. On the left side are the best practices you're going to implement to support graduate students. And on the right side is all the research that says those practices are effective. Okay, and I have several examples of these types that you would put in application. So let's go back to resources. I think if you do back I think if you just do back, go to direct cost. And direct costs, this subject really came up when the current administration started saying they wanted to reduce indirect costs. If they do reduce indirect costs, so far that is kind of paused. For one thing, the government is shut down. Then you have to charge, you can charge more direct costs. And one of the most common myths I got from faculty constantly was that they're told there's direct costs and there's indirect costs, and that's not
Could you define them, Dr. Howard-Tinian, direct and indirect costs, could you define them?
Okay, indirect cost is a pool that, like, the services that go to the whole institution and aren't specific to like a project you would write, such as the library or ideas, or my office, right? Those can never be represented as direct costs. Direct costs are usually things that are project specific. That's the way to think about it. But the thing to remember is if you have a cost that is project specific, even if it's something you would think is in the indirect cost pool, like paper, and pencils, and supplies and materials, you can charge it as a direct cost if it's not the normal supply. If your project is going to create more demand for those, you can charge them as direct costs. And it's explained in there. If you could click on the first one. As it gives you the definition, it's the bold. You can charge as direct costs things that may have been considered indirect costs if they can be directly assigned to the federal award relatively easy and with a high degree of accuracy. You can charge it. There's very little that you can't. Okay, do you want to go use the back button to? And on the second one, and this related to cost share. What I found, you just scroll down just so they can see the whole list. When it comes to like representing cost share, that's fine, that's good. I worked with facilities and management to get a cost per square footage if you're going to charge for space. And it's 33.67 at Fresno State. And what the CSU does is if you have a specialized space, like your engineering lab, you use an intensity multiplier. You would do 33.67 times 1.5. And you know how much you have to charge. And that average square footage covers everything listed in number 3 so that you don't duplicate costs, right? And I was getting so many questions about things like this. And I thought, you know, the faculty need to know this and they need to know the cost and it needs to be transparent. And if you don't know it, then that's on us. It's not on you, that's on us. You should know this stuff. Okay. All right, so please go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, I went through visuals. I'm going to go a little fast because I want to give Angel the time. Okay, this is the final section, an example from a successfully funded proposal, and that photograph is very deliberate because preparing a major grant application is like painting a building. The most time and effort is the prep work, scraping, sanding, cleaning, and that's the real hard part. The least time and effort is devoted to brushing on a few coats of paint or writing up the proposal. Yeah. So I'm going to use the $8 million START award. just to give you an idea of how I approached that. The first thing I did was I memorized the Federal Register. Can you click on that notice? Okay, this is the Federal Register notice. Can you scroll down? I'll tell you when to stop. Okay, stop there, and can you enlarge it a little? When I go through the Federal Register notice, that's fine. I not only memorize it, Federal Register, no, go up, I want to see the footnotes at the bottom of this page, have footnotes on them. They have tons of sources. And when I'm reading that Federal Register notice, I click on every single one of those. Because those are the sources from which they wrote that funding opportunity announcement. A lot of them I'll disregard, but I don't disregard all of them. And more important, I finally can figure out a little how they're thinking, right? When they drafted that. Because the most competitive application is when you take your project and figure out how it aligns with what they want to fund. And by the way, if your project doesn't align, look for another opportunity. Don't waste your valuable time. Okay, if you could go back to the PowerPoint. After I read it, I write a summary sheet of all the key metrics and requirements. If you could click on the first summary. And you'll notice, what have I extracted, for instance, the performance measures, right? And when you read a Federal Register notice, it will at the end tell you what the performance measures are, but it won't tell you that's the most important piece of information in the whole Federal. You just tack it on at the end, right? Why is it so important? Because Congress sets those. Congress, this is all taxpayers' money. And when the agencies argue for money, Congress says, we will give you this money if you achieve these outcomes. You improve first-year credit accumulation, that's linked to timely graduation. You increase the number of credentials conferred, degrees conferred. They will tell you what the performance measures are. And your proposed program better contribute to those outcomes. Because when you submit your annual reports, the people at the federal agency will take those cumulatively and go to Congress and say, you should keep funding this program. We increase the number of credentials conferred by. Okay, could you go back to the PowerPoint? And if you go to the proposal and click on that, this is part of the STAR proposal. Scroll down, I'll tell you when to stop. I figured out how much money it would save. Okay, stop. As you can see in the first box on this, there's a lot. The program performance measure number 1, first year credit accumulation, is right out of the Federal Register notice. We're going to increase it 10% or 15% over the baseline. And I give the percentages for the baseline. And then when the Office of Institutional Effectiveness gives you the data every year, it tells you it increased what, totally 5% and the number that equates to, and that goes in your program report. Okay. Go back to the PowerPoint. I also attend all the webinars. Okay, I attended the Department of Education webinar on what were strong evidence studies. If you click on this randomized, the second summary sheet. Okay, if you can enlarge it. They basically tell you to get tier 1 strong evidence, which is what I was going for. I decided to go for the strongest one possible because I was asking for as much as possible. There are only 2 types of studies that they will consider to generate strong evidence. That's randomized controlled trials and quasi-experimental design. So I went with a randomized controlled trial. That's their favorite. It will generate tier 1 strong evidence. It's a causally valid study.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so can you go back? Okay. Okay, can you click on Bettinger and Baker? And this is when I went to What Works Clearinghouse of the Department of Education. And I searched for all the articles or research, all the research they had evaluated that they said was generated strong evidence, like it was a randomized control trial. One is Bettinger and Baker, the effects of student coaching and evaluation of a randomized experiment, student advising in the boxes below. It meets the standards without reservation. It was a rigorous research study conducted well. It had a statistically significant positive finding, and it showed strong evidence of effectiveness. So I went through and just did constant searches, and I found a total of 6 studies that had that. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. And then I did a summary table. If you click on summary table of all the 6 studies I had found, and I had the citation information. I did an abstract for myself, what it was about, if you want to scroll down. And then I just extracted what that study, the documented results on retention, on graduation. I noted any additional considerations. I said, what was the context overlap? It was public universities. What was the population overlap? Pell Grant recipients, and what was the cost effectiveness? And I did that for all 6 studies that I found, because if you're going to ask for a research study, you have to do a review of the literature. So once I had this, you can see at the bottom, the worksheets for every single study I found, I did a really good review of the literature. Okay, go back to the PowerPoint. And I think what's important to realize is I was giving them something they knew and they trusted. These were studies they had vetted. I wasn't giving them anything they didn't know. For one thing, I'd have to reconstruct the whole vetting process in the proposal. Right? So just examples of press work. I was on the PI team for an NSF Granted Award, the RA's Research Administration, and it was to, the CCCs, the CSUs and the UCs are really siloed. It was to bring them together to create systemic pathways among our institutions. And I figured, well, if I'm going to argue for this, I have to know how the California public higher education system was set up. So I read the master plan for higher education in California and all updates. So I could really tell them immediately how it was set up and why, and how I could create the systemic pathways. I'm going to go, okay, Angelica, go ahead.
So aside from everything that Bill has talked about already, we just want to give you an example of, while you're working on the references, while you're doing the project narrative and all the meat and potatoes of the proposal. So I will work on your budget for you. I will ask you questions and then I will develop it for you. And then I'll send it back to you and we can discuss if we're a little bit over where you want to do some cuts. So this is an example of the budget that we create. So for example, and we understand that many of you will be collaborating with other faculties across different disciplines. And you're going to be like, I don't know what their salary is. And how would I go about, getting that information? That's where we take care of that information. We are able to access all that. So you don't have to stress about it. For example, this proposal required graduate students and undergraduate students and translators. So you don't have to worry about how much are we going to pay them. We have like a standard of what is used across the board for students. So we will put that in. For an external evaluator as well, we are able to get all that information. We will ask you for very specifics if you have equipment for your proposals or specialized software. Then we'll talk more in detail, like how to go about, including that into the proposal. So just for an example, we like to have working documents, and just so you know, once you have contacted the university initiatives and have asked for our assistance, we create a Google folder. And in that Google folder, we share everything with you and anybody else that is collaborating. So at any point, you have access to all the information. We're very transparent, so we want you to be able to access that. So for example, here, the salary calculations, just to give you an example of how this is done. For example, like you might say, I don't know what my 10% 3 WTU's cost would be to build the grant. So here we have this document and we outline all that information, what 10% would be, what your monthly salary would be, for summer buyout, or even, we break it down even like weekly if necessary, or even hourly. And then we also include the fringe benefits. So this takes away stress from you, and you can put that stress in my lap and it's okay. So this is like the level of detail that we assist with preparing the proposal. So another part of the proposal is actually getting to research, for example, research.gov. That's one of the main pathways we use to submit these applications. So if you've never used it, I will help you with creating your login. And then once you're in the process of submitting the grant, you're gonna need BioSketch, more than likely. You're gonna need your current and pending report. There's another few documents. I will assist you with that because there's another website that you have to create that information. And if you've never done it, it is a little cumbersome, but you don't have to worry. I can zip you through the process and it'll be very quick. So this is just some of the things that we do. And just so you know, Gil does an excellent job. The moment you contact her and you tell her, this is what I have in mind, like she said, she reads everything and she puts a summary sheet, and we have deadlines. So we are constantly looking at those deadlines, and we are letting you know, hey, we're gonna start doing this. We need you to make sure you get these information, these documents to us. That way we are always on time to submit. And just so you know, we, for the most part, we never submit on the last day that it's due, because we do run across some issues on the different platforms. So we like to give ourselves some cushion. And also sometimes it requires, once we submit, if there's something that you decide that you wanted to add, we can go back and we have some time to fix it. So it's kind of it's a good cushion to have. So we're all about that. So this is what we do. So if you have something in mind, just reach out to Gil and we'll put it in our pipeline. So make sure, please, don't forget to sign in if you didn't, because Gil will send you all this information.
Yeah, and I would just say, this is also a reference to like AI. These electronic applications have gotten far more sophisticated in 15 years I've been. Everybody was used to Fastlane, but it was very clunky. But what I realized as soon as research.gov came out was, you can't believe what we submitted in Fastlane. It would take anything we uploaded, and we could press the submit button. But research.gov, oh, the capacity of research.gov, like your proposal is supposed to have 1.08 spacing. And if there's one line in there, it's 1.5. It will spit out the proposal and tell you to fix your line spacing. If there's one hidden hyperlink in there that no one can find, it will spit out your proposal. I mean, in Fastlane, it didn't matter what you uploaded, it was fine. But so that's also why we started uploading them a day or two before. And it's really, the technical capacity of these has really improved quite a bit.
Can I just say something from my experience? He's been really modest. Gil and Angelica. What I felt when I received a grant, when I worked with Gil's office, is I felt empowered. Because they were so transparent with everything. And I really appreciated that. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
Heard many good things about Dr. Harit Sinyan from the Department of Social Work, Dr. Marcus